Hello and welcome to StroongeCast episode 90.
Difficult conversations.
Yep, indeed. A whole 90 of them, which is quite good actually, you think about
A
it.
whole 90 difficult conversations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, geez.
I know. Well, we've probably had that many in our lifetime.
In our life? What, together?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I would have thought so. But who knows? But apart from that, how's your week been?
A lot cooler
Thank goodness.
since Sunday.
Yeah.
We had your birthday
Which we did.
on Saturday, which was nice. You can talk about your birthday.
I shall.
And then it's cooled down and basically rained about a year's worth of rain, it feels like.
And we had not one, but two thunderstorms
In one day. Yeah, we did. A couple
Which
of
was
hours apart.
rather
That was
nice.
fun. But yeah, otherwise it's fine. Gone quite quick, I think, this week.
Yeah, it does seem to have.
Yeah. But anyway, you tell us about your birthday.
Yeah, so Saturday was my birthday, the day after the last episode, and well, Alice baked a tiramisu cheesecake for me, which was very nice indeed. You did barbecue, and you found some prawns. Oh, prawns on skewers, no less.
Yeah, paprika prawns.
They were really good. From M&S,
Yeah.
Marks and Spencer's for those outside the UK. It's like I don't know what the US equivalent of M&S would actually be. Maybe like a Walmart of sorts, if Walmart does
I think
food.
it's a bit more upmarket.
Upmarket than Walmart. Yeah, definitely.
Like Whole Foods, is that more upmarket?
Yeah, it could be. Actually, you know who would know? Pam would know, because Pam used to live here, and she would have probably shopped in
there you
M&S
go.
at points.
Yeah.
So what's your US equivalent to M&S, Pam? Because I say if, I suspect you're listening. Which is great. So lots of food from there. You got, what else did you get from there? You got something else? Chicken?
Lamb kebabs.
Lamb kebabs. Oh my gosh. The lamb kebabs were amazing. I think
Yeah.
Marie would be jealous. They were great. And you've got chicken skewers that we still haven't done yet.
No, that was what you had yesterday.
Oh, you just took them in, put them in the
I
rack
just
instead.
put them in a wrap. Yeah.
They were lovely.
Because what happened with the amount of food?
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So on my birthday, quite a few things happened. I got a very nice new Hagrid-sized executive desk chair that I'm sitting in at the moment. And this is to replace my not very comfortable chair from the year before.
It's so big I can actually barely see you around it.
No, I know, right?
Like it just completely blocks my view.
It dwarfs it dwarfs most
does
people.
dwarf, yeah.
When you sit in it, you actually have a headrest up to the back of your head. A lot of chairs don't have
And a footrest, reclining. It's like a full-on nap chair.
It's wonderful. And the arms come up high as well. I love it. And Alice and I put it together in basically no time at all. It was great fun.
Yeah. It was great.
And I enjoyed a glass of wine on my birthday as well. That was rather nice. So the evening of birthday, right? Everybody's settling down now. It's quiet, no problem. About 8 o'clock, I get a message from a singer friend of mine, and she's like, "Hi, can I bring you something round?" And I say, "Yeah, sure." I forget she lives really, really far away. I don't hear from her for a bit, which turns into a lot. It becomes 10 o'clock, and we're on the motorway. Be with you soon. I'm like, I was just about to go to bed, you know. She's like, no, wait, it's okay. 11:15, right? From 8 till 11:15. And they rock up. They can't find the place, so I spend about 10 minutes standing outside. Luckily, it's a warm night, doesn't matter. Standing out there in my slippers like an old geezer, on the phone trying to direct them. But they finally walk up. They come with a cake in a box with my name on it, personalised cake. That's all nice. They come with another thing, which is a big bag, and she says, "Put your hand out," and I put it flat, you know, thinking not much of it. No. Like this, she goes, turns my hand, hooks a bag over my hand, and I nearly drop it in surprise. This thing isn't light. It's probably half an Alice.
It was a massive bag.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what's in here. And she tells me all the things that are in there. And I get shocked, more and more shocked as time goes by. You're about to find out what's in the bag. But I say thank you and I come inside. and I heave practically the bag onto the side in the kitchen. You've gone up to bed by this point. I come up and I wake you up again. And I say, you've got to come downstairs. And why did I ask you to come downstairs?
Because there was so much food and drink and because we'd had our shopping delivery the day before, the fridge was absolutely packed anyway. And then this whole massive bag of food, and you were like, I just can't deal with this on my own.
No.
And the list it went on. And so I had to play a very impressive game of Tetris.
Fridge Tetris.
You
did a great
Because
job.
even the freezer was full. So I couldn't take any of the meat and put it in the freezer or anything. It just
What was in the bag? Come on. See if you can remember anything.
Okay. So there was 2 boxes of duck legs in a orange and port sauce.
Which was amazing, by the way.
Yeah. There was a packet of smoked salmon. There was a big packet of fresh pasta.
Have we had any of the salmon?
No, I think Jake's going to have it for lunch today.
Oh, good.
It
Okay.
needs to be eaten. There was a big box of strawberries. There was some salad, a box of tomatoes, some goat's cheese, fresh apple juice, really nice fresh apple juice, a bottle of Prosecco, a box of crackers to go with the goat's cheese. Wait, there was so much more on my brain.
Sweet potato.
Oh, sweet potatoes, some onions, some chocolate.
Oh, yeah, pralines. And there was coleslaw.
Coleslaw, potato salad, olives.
Oh, yeah, haven't tried the olives.
No, they went because they're dark olives. We don't eat the dark olives.
Right.
So there was a couple of things that we don't eat that we donated to my parents because we didn't obviously want the food to go to waste.
And there was a lot of it. I think that was a lot.
I think that was everything. It was just so much food. It was incredible.
For a present,
so nice of them. Yeah. And I think we've no, actually we have still got a few things left. Like the cheese and the crackers.
Oh yeah, man. I love goat's cheese. And the thing is, goat's cheese on pizza is the best ever. Mm-hmm. If you can get whichever pizza joint that you buy from to swap normal cheese for goat's cheese, assuming you like goat's cheese, it is so much better than normal cheese. Whenever I go to Pizza Hut, I get them to do that, and it is wonderful. So that's nice. Yeah, I'd like to have goat's cheese with something.
And then the next day, more food arrived.
More food arrived, and more people arrived. My stepdad, Mr. Moses, came with his mum, my kind of pseudo auntie, and she's a lovely old lady now. She used to be very sprightly. She used to run a shop right in Shepherd's Bush back in the day. And it was like a newsagent, so it was a sweet shop. It sold newspapers, phone cards, that kind of thing. In the 90s, that's what they did. And I used to be able to sit behind the counter, and I could wander from, the back of the counter to the rest of the house. I think it was 3 floors. It was quite a big house, actually. I should see if Moses has any pictures to show you, because you've never seen in the house. It was really cool.
That would be fun.
I'll have to ask him. But I think once I even got to serve somebody that knew me, so it was all right. But yeah, little kid serving behind the counter was good fun. And I got to occasionally eat some free sweets, but I didn't do it very often because you don't want to take advantage.
No.
But yeah, she was always cooking with Lucy. When she wasn't in the shop, doing the shop things, she was cooking. And man, she used to cook like mad. I'd go over there for Caribbean dishes and jerk chicken and rice and lamb and roti. She did all the things. But what Moses brought over for me and Jake was prawn biryani, and the prawns were huge.
Yeah. They were actually massive portions as well. I think
Yep.
in hindsight, you could have probably had one portion between the two of you, but I didn't realise that. So you both had absolutely ginormous bowls, didn't you?
Then we could have had another one the next day.
Yeah.
And just been fine.
Yeah.
So again, the fridge got a workout. And I think we're just now recovering from that a week later, which is rare for us. We tend to go through food a lot in this house because there's 4 of us. Mostly 5 these days. But yeah.
Yeah. There is. But it's good. Nothing's been wasted. Everything's being eaten.
Definitely.
I like it.
So I would have said that the chair was the biggest present I got, but actually it was all the food in the fridge.
I think so. Definitely, I think so.
Pretty mad. And the duck, we had the duck on the Sunday. It was super tender. Really, really good. Good portions too.
Yeah, that was really good.
Because I think oftentimes you get expensive meat, and because it's expensive and they know it is, you get like a bone and one piece and you're done. Not with this.
No.
It was really high quality stuff. And I said to you that we'll have to find wherever they got it from and get it again because it was good.
Yeah, or I found, the same kind from Tesco, so
Good stuff.
we can get that again, definitely.
Right. So, what was the quiz question? I don't remember. It was a food question.
Yeah, it was which fast food restaurant has the most locations across the US?
Yeah. And I thought McDonald's, and I think a few other people did as well in the comments.
Yeah, it's actually Subway.
I would not have thought that.
I know, right?
Wow.
So well done if you got that right. We'll have a look at the comments and we can see who got it right. And then this week's question is, how many actors appeared in all 8 Harry Potter films?
Oh, that's a good question. I should ask Alf. I don't think he'll know, but
No.
he would have filmed all of them.
Yeah, that's true.
Alf is my cameraman friend who filmed all the Harry Potter movies and the Avengers movies and Avatar and a whole bunch of other stuff. His rap sheet is very long.
Yeah.
But he's a Steadicam operator, so he does a lot of the big boy films, if you will.
And football matches and stuff, doesn't he?
Football matches, yeah, definitely. Actually, the other week he told me that his son was doing his first ever solo match, and it's live as well. So you really have to be on the ball.
Yeah, literally.
Literally on the ball, yeah. Good. Very good. But yeah, he said he wasn't even that nervous about it, apparently. He's just cool, calm and collected, a bit like Jake. It's incredible. I don't know how you do that. You've got to run around with 50 kilos on your back. And he was out. Alf said he was out in the 34-degree heat we had the other day, right? In the sun. Because it was a football match.
Yeah.
And you had to run around and do stuff. So not only were the players running around in their kit, getting all sweaty, whatever, but as a cameraman, and at his age too, you've got to run around and carry all that stuff.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, he's not like past it or anything, but he is on the older side.
He's 60-something.
Yeah.
And you've got to do all that. That'll keep you fit.
Definitely. Amazing.
He's really good at what he does, though. Like that's why everybody calls him all the time. I think there was some statement from Chris Columbus, who did the Harry Potter movies, like, there is no cameraman like Alf or something.
Wow.
I know. Which is incredible.
That is amazing.
Yeah. All right, then. What comments did we get? We got a fair few, I think.
Yes. So let's start with Marie. We have her first comment. I am also convinced that Andre has more than one brain. They're called hard drives. Lol.
Good. Storage medium.
I think I'm going to clean the letter up and then I'm going to send it to her. So this was with regards to sending the letter to Betsy.
Yes.
I think it was.
We'll start a petition if you don't do it.
Yeah. Even though I wrote it on the computer in a text file, I want to actually print it out and send it to her in physical form. I just feel like there's so much that I want to say that I fear the letter would be pages and pages long. I will try to get it out within the next month or so.
It's a good idea printing it because she may not have access to a computer anyway. And I think it's more personable or personal if you print it.
Yeah.
So you should do that, yeah. I agree with this direction.
She said, so from what the internet told me and from what I understand anyway, nude is an artistic reference, whereas naked just means you're not wearing any clothes at all. So that was when we were talking about the...
Naked with a sock on.
Naked, yeah. Were you naked if you had socks on? So that makes sense. Also, I'm in agreement that if you're wearing socks, you're not technically naked. I hate when people wear socks in bed. It's just the weirdest thing in the world.
Who does that then?
I don't know. I mean, I sometimes, if it's freezing cold, I might start the night off with socks on, but then I always end up taking them off.
Yeah.
But that's only if it's really freezing cold. And my feet are always blocks of ice. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice feet.
And then she said, okay, in regards to Jerry Seinfeld, I will make a very blanket statement. I actually prefer British comedy to American comedy. Americans, in the grand scheme of things, really aren't that funny. You have a couple of exceptions like Robin Williams, and okay, one exception like Robin Williams. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Was amazing, I should say.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean...
Jim Carrey's funny. Although he's not a comedian as such as an actor, but he is funny.
He's funny in the roles that he plays. I think it's different.
Like Liar Liar?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's done...
I know he's done a lot of
so
things.
many things.
But I think that's one of the ones I remember
my
mostly.
favourite films, The Grinch.
Oh, yeah? He was in that?
Yeah, he is the Grinch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But yeah, I think we have really good comedy over here. And it's, I don't know, it's like a more abrupt thing somehow. We're good at that.
Yeah, it's just different. I know that there are some comedies or some shows that are taken over to America and they do like the American version and it just doesn't quite feel the same.
They tried that with Red Dwarf. It flopped. They did it with The Office, and I think
that's
people
been quite successful. I've never really got into The Office. So
I haven't either,
don't
either
really
version.
Compare it, but yeah, I think it's been quite popular though, from what I understand.
But then, right, you get things. I mean, I really enjoyed. You didn't watch more than the first couple episodes. I liked Shrinking, and it wasn't a comedy with a laugh track.
Yeah, I like Shrinking.
But I really enjoyed that show, and that's a US Apple TV show. I really enjoyed that a great deal. If I could recommend
There's loads
anything,
of
And for example,
American
Disenchanted, sort of not comedy but comedy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think stand-up comedy in particular is a different thing, a different beast in the US than it is here. Maybe that's more what it is.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because you guys are definitely good at comedy in your own way. Even the darker stuff like You can be quite funny.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Next comment from Marie. Yes, weekly recommendations, Stroonge recipes, Alice made this, all the things.
Right, we can do all that.
You should have all the segments in your podcast. In the end, it will look like a very strange bug. Segmented with many legs.
Definitely.
And how in the world did your child make croissants? They take 3 days to make. They didn't take her 3 days. They took her 2 days. I mean, spread over 2 days. Just because the pastry dough had to be in the fridge for quite a long time.
The funny story about that, isn't there? With her uncle.
Oh, yeah. So your brother, Dwayne, we just found out that he also bakes. Like, I knew that he cooked, but I didn't know that he baked.
I did not know he baked until recently.
And so him and Alice have now started chatting and having a bit of like a kind of competition, I guess, between them.
I told him to message her about that and to like, come on, bake war.
I think it was much more tame than what you were trying to create. But
I wanted her to win.
What was quite funny though was he mistyped one bit. So where he meant, because he said that he'd baked this, because they're vegetarian, so there's corn and vegetable pie. And he said that if he'd had more time, he meant to say that he would have blind baked it.
Yeah.
But he mistyped and it was blind naked it, which, yeah, we had a bit of a laugh about that. And then Marie also says, wow, that story about how Adidas and Puma started is so interesting, all because somebody misinterpreted somebody else's frustration.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, oh my God, I love giant pandas and humpback whales. They are two of my favorite animals ever. Also, I thought of the movie Ice Age when you mentioned the squirrel story. Great minds.
There you go.
Yeah, that squirrel, he's hilarious. And she also said, I believe the answer is the quiz question is McDonald's, but I could be wrong. I would be very surprised if it wasn't McDonald's.
Then you'll be very surprised.
You will be very surprised. Then we've got Dangero.
Hello.
Dangero.
Yeah.
Who says, hey guys, I love this episode. And also the little music thing at the end. Also, I would be surprised if the answer to this week's quiz question was not McDonald's. Can't wait for the next one. So there you go. Tara says,
she just knows stuff.
She knows everything. She always gets the quiz questions right. She said, I'm going with Subway. And you are very correct.
Nice
and then
one.
Tara also says, it depends on who you ask whether Jerry Seinfeld is funny or not. Have I laughed at some of his bits? Yes, once in a while. I'm not one that laughs at comedians for the most part unless they are really good, or maybe it's just whether I find them humorous.
So there's a funny thing about that. I think a lot of people say that you don't laugh at them when you're watching at home, but you do if it's live because the energy's different. That's what I've heard. And I think I can agree with that.
Because I watch, funny things, but it's not very often that I laugh out loud.
No, it has to really catch you at the right moment.
Yeah.
For that.
And I think that's quite common for most people.
Yes.
And I think there is that social side as well, isn't there? That you tend to laugh more if you're even if you're just like two of you sat watching the telly, you're more likely to laugh out loud than you are if you're just on your own.
Agreed.
Which,
that's the thing.
In your head, you're like, oh, that's really funny. But outwardly, nothing.
I didn't think we would laugh as much as we did when we went to see Peter Kay because I'd never been to see a live show before. But we laughed a lot.
Yeah.
It was there. It was in person.
Yeah. And I've been to things like theatre shows, the pantomime, that were very funny. And everyone's laughing out loud. And you do kind of get swept up into that.
It's the energy in the room again, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think when you see something live is very different because the actors, the performers, they're feeding off of you.
Yes.
So if you're not laughing out loud, they don't know how to take that. That's just really weird. But yeah.
True. So why are we having this talk today about difficult conversations?
Well, I just thought it would be an interesting one to talk about how you would handle difficult conversations, difficult situations. Maybe the difference between you and me, because we are quite different in those respects. Not just between each other, but, out in the world with other family members. Because I would say that I am definitely one to avoid all difficult conversations and conflict, whereas you are much more able to approach those situations. Would you agree?
I think it depends on the situation. I can mostly, and I will if I absolutely must. But yeah, I think sometimes it's like if you don't, it just festers and you have to deal with it, even if you don't really want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it, but sometimes needs must.
But I think you are much more capable of saying what you think.
Yeah, that stems from my mum.
Yeah.
She was a very forthright person.
Yeah.
And she always told me that if you don't stand up for yourself, you can't expect anyone else to stand up for you. Mm-hmm. And I try to carry that forward. I know Jake is a bit like that.
Jake is much, much more like you. Yeah. And Alice
sometimes
is much
to his
more
detriment.
Yeah, on the odd occasion. His little argument with the airport man in Marseille.
The rude French man.
Yeah.
That nearly came to blows.
It's one of the worst things ever happened on a travel trip.
Yeah.
But so where should we start? Do you want to start between us or?
Yeah, let's do that and we'll bridge out,
Okay. So, for example, today, and we're not going to talk specifics, but today we had a situation where we both had pretty much opposite opinions on something. And I guess because it's you, usually I am much more able to say, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Which I did. I said, well, I don't agree with it. And we then sort of had a bit of a discussion. I was willing to leave it, but you wanted to have the discussion, which actually is better that we did, because now, we both have each other's point of view, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it definitely was a situation that could have, in some ways, turned into an argument.
Yes.
Maybe. But we didn't.
Because you talk it out.
Because we talked it out. So I suppose we're kind of touching a little bit on the communication is key episode.
Yes, good one.
But I don't know. What do you think about the situation today?
I think you would have been happy to leave it alone, but I wasn't, because I could feel it in my gut that I was.
Yeah, I think you were maybe more bothered than I was. I just was like, well, I don't agree with it, but you've kind of made that decision, so fair enough.
Yes.
But you were. Do you think it was because you were bothered that I didn't agree?
Probably. And also, I was kind of invested.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was more to do with you.
Yes. If it had been the other way around, I'd probably been like, yeah, fair enough. But it was, something happened and I made a choice, and I kind of receded that choice a little bit after you said you didn't agree with it. So I kind of pulled back on it.
Which I did say to you after we talked about it. I did say, it doesn't have to be that way. If just because we have completely different opinions doesn't mean that you have to change yours to fit mine, which isn't a thing, by the way. You never, ever do that. You're very set in your ways. But I didn't want you to feel that your opinion wasn't as valid as mine. We both have our different reasons for what we believe to be the correct way to deal with something. And it's okay that we don't agree. Yeah.
I think where it isn't okay that we don't agree is when it affects all of us. Like, for example, when people, I can't think, there was something on the cruise where we needed to talk to somebody and they were just behaving really silly or whatever it was, I don't know. And I was like, you've got to talk to these people, because whatever it is was going to like ruin the entire holiday kind of thing. And you're like, oh, I don't want to cause waves. She's on the sea, not causing waves. Like, what? But I was like, no, you have to speak up sometimes, because when you don't once, it can lead into don't ever.
Yeah.
You know? And so I know, I don't even remember what it was now. I just remember that we had the conversation, and it wasn't an argument, right? To be clear, it was a gently push you in this direction for.
Because I don't want to be the one. I don't want to be the one that has to be confrontational.
No.
Like, I remember, and my sister has the exact same memories, and we talk about it. But if my mum ever had to complain in a store, like, she would love it, by the way. She's not like a Karen or anything. But, if something happened, she had to complain about something or take something back, or, I don't know, whatever it would be, we would both inwardly be like, oh. Now, my sister is great at it. Complaining or asking for things or anything like that, she is great. I am not. I mean, there have been times, and if I have to, I will suck it up. But I really hate it. I really hate having to complain. Like, in a restaurant, it's ridiculous. I would rather not say anything than have to have that confrontation. Which I know is terrible.
Hair in your food. What then?
I don't know. It makes me cringe just thinking about it. Really.
You wouldn't want to eat it, yeah? But
no, I wouldn't eat it. No, I know, and I probably would, especially if it was like one of the kids. But I know that I would really struggle, really, really struggle.
See, that's the problem, you see, because you'll do it for other people, but not for yourself. Imagine you got this nice, expensive dish in front of you. Let's say you were out for your birthday meal or something. The first thing you spot is a hair floating on it. Gross. You haven't even taken a taste of it yet. You would have to.
Yeah.
You would absolutely have to, because...
I know, I would have to.
Then, I mean, if you've gotten like 3/4 of the way down, maybe. But like, I ain't finishing that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just not good at those kind of things. I'm really, really not. Avoid situations as much as I can, to be honest.
This is something for the comments. Are you a confrontational person, or are you just like, leave it be?
So if you're at the hairdresser and they do something that you don't like, the cut, the finish, it's not how you like it, are you going to say, no, I don't like it? Or are you going to be like, yeah, it's great, and then just never come back? That's the thing.
I think there's two ways you could do that, and both of them are fine. You could say, yeah, it's great, never come back. But what you could also do is say, look, this is the thing. Could you make a note of that for next time and do it a little differently? Because you're giving constructive feedback and not being an arse about it. You know?
It's just awkward in that moment, though, because
it is in the moment, yeah.
Here, oh, look, it looks so great. How do you feel? And they're showing it to you and you're paying, and hairdressers are quite expensive nowadays. And, you don't want to make someone feel bad.
No.
Which is ridiculous because they've just
service
cut your hair, but at the same time you're like.
But imagine, right? If it was still a bit too long, you have the. If it's too short, you're kind of screwed. But if it's still a bit longer than you'd like, you still have a chance to say, look, could you just shorten that bit there a little bit, so you could stay in that chair and sort the hair, and then go off.
Yeah, I guess the same for all those kind of services, like. Getting your nails done or...
Yeah, you didn't apparently, when they did your nails last time you went.
Yeah, so I don't get my nails done ever, but I decided to really treat myself and get my nails done. And they used this like grinding tool thing to do like around the nail, the cuticles, which I really didn't want them to do. But I didn't realise until she started. And then I was like, I can't really stay. Like I didn't feel overly comfortable there anyway. And I just didn't feel like I could say, oh, please don't do that. And the rest of it was fine. And I came out and they looked amazing. They were, great. But it has messed them up. It has messed up my nails because of that grinding thing. So I've just decided I'm not doing that again. Had I been braver, I could have said, please don't use the grindy thing. I don't know what it's called.
Well, I think if you go to another salon, you can say ahead of time, and you can put the onus on the previous people, not the current people. Say, look, last time I went, they used this tool and it really messed up my nails. Could you not do that? Because then it's out ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And you won't have to have an uncomfortable conversation. They'll be like, oh, sorry, I'm sorry they did that. And they'll note that.
Yeah.
So it's about how you present it. That's the best way you can.
Yeah.
It serves both sides, right? It serves them so that you become a repeat customer. It serves you because you won't have to have an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
You've got to think about the analytics.
I think it's just, for me personally, it's just any of that speaking up for yourself feels like an uncomfortable conversation. Like, and you'll know this, the whole asking for money.
Ugh.
When you've done something, a job or whatever, and you're having to ask for that money if it's not been paid within the right time or,
it's never an easy
not
conversation
the right
to have.
amount. Yeah. That I always find is a really difficult one. I always try and follow that rule. What do they call it? They call it like a something sandwich. Like when you're giving negative feedback or something and you do like positive, negative, positive.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you start on a positive, then you give the negative, and then you end on the positive.
I like that.
I
don't think I knew about that.
Yeah. So with whatever, if I really have to say something, I always try and follow that. And then I feel a bit better.
Okay. We've learned something.
I'm just trying to think of other situations that would lead to difficult conversations.
What about other friends and family? Because they know you better.
Yeah, I mean, for me, personally, I just never want to upset anybody. So I can't actually think of a time where I've had to have many difficult conversations. And usually, if it's about a family member, something's happened, I'll usually speak to my mum about it and then get her opinion on the situation and then kind of take it from there.
Yeah.
Which I know sounds like a really childish thing to do, but sometimes you just need that kind of sounding board, I guess, of how is the best way to approach this, particularly that, we are very close. My side of the family, we're very, very small. We're very, very close. We're very tight. We all talk a lot. And I just think the idea of having to say something to potentially upset one of them would be really, really hard.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. I can't actually think of a time. I don't know. Because kind of just say something in the moment, I guess.
Yeah.
Or moan about each other behind each other's backs, which sounds really bad. But when you're like, oh, I can't believe they said that or whatever.
Yeah.
Then that's it.
You can go to your friend as well.
Yeah.
Good sounding board.
Yeah, definitely. But what about you with your family?
To be fair, haven't had to do that much recently, which is good. Because it's not been that kind of chats we've had. It's been like normal things, not really deep things. I think I may have to have a conversation like that with my uncle at some point soon. But it will be consolatory, right? I'm not mad at the guy. I'm sad because he distanced himself from the family for a long time. And I think he thinks that I will be mad.
Yeah.
But I won't be. Because
But I think that's the difference. You're not going into it with anger.
I would have at one point. I would have been livid. But, when you realize that you don't have an unlimited amount of time on this planet, there's no point being angry all the time. So if I see him, I give him a big squeeze. I say, look, I want you around. I want you in my kids' lives because you matter that much to me.
Yeah.
You brought me up practically. Don't do another disappearing act. I've got your number now. All right? That's it. Because I could flip the coin, right? And be ragey and be like, you weren't at my mum's funeral, you bad, bad boy. You just rock up at my granddad's, or your dad's funeral, like nothing happened. But I won't do that. I won't do that. Because A, it's not helpful. And B, you don't know what the man's been through. That would be one of the hardest conversations I could have, but I'm going to make it easy when I eventually have it. And I will have it. Because you know me. I will have it. So I think that is probably the most relevant to the topic for me today.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I agree. Definitely.
So if the shoe was on your foot and you had to have that conversation, would you be like that too? I think you would. Softly, softly.
Definitely softly, softly. Everything pretty much is softly, softly with me. There aren't many things.
Unless someone's threatening your child.
Well, that's obviously
Then Mama
different.
Bear comes out.
Yeah. That's very different.
Yeah.
Because actually the only times that I can think off the top of my head where I've been really annoyed and maybe mildly confrontational.
Yeah, she's a bit like a Korma in that respect.
Is, when I've had to fire off emails to the school for the kids, because you can't ever speak to anybody, so it has to be an email.
Yes.
Or when we've been, like when we talked about the assessments that we had to go to.
Oh, gosh.
Those are the only times, really.
For that one, you should listen to Can I Touch Your Legs? That's an episode of the podcast, by the way. It's not an invitation from me to the wife. That's the time you got most mad.
Yeah. I think it was.
Ah, dear. I do laugh at that time now because I've never seen you so mad.
I know. It doesn't happen a lot.
You got to be fired up, girl.
Yeah, it really, really doesn't happen very often.
Bring it on. But family conversations can be hard.
Yeah, they can be.
So I think the best thing to do is to sleep on it. And also don't have an angry conversation before breakfast. Truly, it's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
Eat something because the body just isn't ready for those kind of deep things first thing in the morning.
No, that's true.
It doesn't work. That's when you're at your most angry, actually. At least I am.
That is true. Before your shower and your breakfast. Not that you're an angry person or anything.
No, but
you're not always in the happiest of moods.
nope.
Um,
I'm a lot calmer.
yeah. But that's because you get hangry.
So
like
does
Alice.
So does daughter.
Oh my gosh. She gets a hangry little creature.
She is. She'd bite your hand off.
Yeah.
She's mild-mannered most of the time, but don't get between her and food. That she gets from her dad. She gets all her looks and stuff from you.
Hand.
But I gave her like one thing, and it was hangriness, apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe not much else, I don't know.
Yeah, the music.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we should ask the kids about, as they get older, what would cause them to have a difficult conversation. I think it'd be quite interesting. I think Alice would say not much. But I think Jacob would just like, listen, if they look at me funny or look at my girl funny, we're going to have a chat.
Yeah.
And he will, like in the case of when we're out together, me and him, and, you know, he will stare people in the face when they're staring at me. He hates that. And that's not even a word. It's just a look. Like, get off my lawn. He's very protective.
Yeah, he is.
He will stare them right in the eye. And he's told me afterwards, like, I just had to stare someone right down because they were being an arse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love that. He will be, like, very protective of his lady and of his kids.
He already is.
Yeah.
Of his girlfriend.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
I see that in him.
In a healthy way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
His difficult conversations won't be difficult for him. They'll be difficult for the other party. I can tell you that. They'll be difficult for the other party.
Yeah.
Don't mess with Jake.
Oh, it's funny.
I know we nearly gave the printing man what for this morning.
Oh, my gosh.
Mention that briefly, because that's just one of those silly things that you said you've been through before,
but
and I
it was
haven't.
something. Jake had a package that was being collected by the Royal Mail, and we'd selected online for them to bring the label, so we didn't have to print it out. And then when the guy turned up, I wasn't here, but he said, well, no, we don't bring the labels, and kind of accused Jake of doing it wrong.
Right.
And Jake was like, well, no, it definitely said that. So, I mean, it was fine in the end. He just printed the label and we stuck it on or whatever. But it was the fact that
Lucky we have a printer at all.
Made Jake feel like it was his fault.
Yeah.
And then I remembered that we'd had a similar situation a long time ago where we were returning something to Amazon. And again, we'd clicked them to bring the label. And when the lady came, who we know really well, to pick it up,
she would have been much nicer about it.
Oh, I hate it when they do this. You know, we never print the labels, blah, blah, blah. But she just said she knew that it was the fault of the service, not us, and was really nice about it. And we were able to print it and it was fine.
Yeah.
But this guy was,
We have a really nice
friendly.
post lady called Caroline. And she greets us by name all the time. She's really, really friendly.
Yeah.
And
she does like packages, not post.
Yeah. Had she come and picked it up, and she has picked up one thing for me in the past, I think. Box or something. Had it been her, she would have just done something about it or said, all right, I'll wait for you to do it. But this guy just stood there like a surly git.
Yeah.
I didn't like his attitude.
No, neither did Jake.
No, clearly not.
No.
Oh, dear. But yeah, it was an annoying conversation. I wouldn't say it was a difficult conversation. But the guy expected us to just know that it would have been this way round. But if the service tells you one thing and then the person coming expects another, who's to blame? Well, the online service, obviously, not us.
Yeah,
most people do that because they don't have printers.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason. It's very annoying.
All sorted in the end.
Indeed. And so's this.
Yeah. Are we ready for Stroonge news?
We are, indeed. This is a funny one.
This is a funny one found by you. People might actually have already heard of this. But this is about a rare albino buffalo nicknamed Donald Trump, who was spared from Eid sacrifice.
Sacrifice?
Yeah. So this buffalo, the albino buffalo, so he's much paler. He became a viral sensation for its uncanny resemblance to the US President Donald Trump. It's been saved from being slaughtered in a last-minute intervention. So people in Bangladesh flocked to take pictures of the buffalo, which gained internet fame due to its flowing tuft of blonde hair.
Wow.
Um,
What colour are they normally?
they're much darker, like, sort of black, very, very dark brown. You don't normally get them this kind of light colour, and they definitely don't usually have blonde hair that looks like a blonde comb over.
How funny.
So the animal was due to be sacrificed for the Islamic festival of Eid after being sold to a buyer until Bangladesh's Home Minister stepped in. And according to local reports, the minister ordered the release of the buffalo due to security concerns and for the buyer to be compensated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a police officer said instructions have come from the top that the buffalo cannot be sacrificed. For now, we have been told to take it to the police station.
Okay. So you're not under arrest, but here's a police station. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yeah. Apparently the government said they would pay whatever it was worth, or provide a cow in replacement.
Yes.
And it has since been transferred to its new home in the Bangladesh National Zoo, where he shall live out his days.
So given given our service today, how would you rate this experience of receiving your new cow? 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5 moos.
I mean...
here's an online survey about your cow. Oh, my gosh.
Poor buffalo. At least he got spared.
You got spared.
He did.
Didn't get turned into buffalo wings.
Oh, my gosh.
I know.
That's really bad.
But there we are for a week.
Yeah.
A difficult conversation week.
Yes.
So I like to do every now and then, if I remember to, stats of the length of time that if you were to listen to us back to back, you would be hearing. And it is 2 days and about 6 hours back to back if you were to play episode 1 to 89. Can't include 90 because it isn't finished yet. But, it's 2 days and some. So, soon we'll be...
That's a lot of us.
It's a lot of us, yeah. It'll be 2.5 in short order, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness.
But until then...
Bye.
Standing outside. Garden door just slammed shut. I'm standing outside and Ignazi is playing my piano in the living room. It's very sunny. We should prop this, I think. Whew, it's actually hot out here. I wanted to walk to the end, but I have no idea what's there, so I won't.